let's just get straight into it. Hands up if Lossie Mouse should be running in the champion hurdle. Okay, it's not unanimous. Hands up if Lossie Mouse should be running in the mares, because all of you backed her for the mares.
Yay!
Okay, it's going to be hard work with you lot then. Rich, great to have. Let's just get straight into it. Lossie Mouse, Constitution Hill is out. You've had all this before. Vote or won't run, will run somewhere, then run somewhere else. Annie Power was never going to be a champion hurdler. Had to be in the end because Faheen got injured. Will you do the right thing and run Lossie Mouse in the champion hurdle where she deserves to be?
Look, if you look at her very best run and Racing Post rating, she wouldn't win a champion hurdle for the last 10 years. The plan has always been, and we know how hard it is for 5-year-olds to compete in that open company, and their record in the champion hurdle, unless it's a sort of a less than average year, isn't great. The plan has always been to run in the mares hurdle this year, strengthen her up, let's get her really, really cherry ripe, campaign her next year with an eye towards taking on Constitution Hill or State Man or whoever the new kid on the block is next year, when at 6 years old she's cherry ripe. That's the time to do it. That's our plan. That's what we've stuck to. We've kept her in today just in case the race cuts up. But the intention is to run the mares hurdle.
Okay, so just one question on this, which I think a lot of people would like to know the answer to. Like we had the other day, there was a race at Kempton that was worth miles more money than everything at Cheltenham, but it never takes into account that people just want to win at Cheltenham. They don't care if it's £1 or £100 million. They just want to win there. As a man who has been very successful in your career, as a man who has to share around horses in William Mullins' yard, you don't necessarily get first pick or second pick even with some of them. Is it more important for you as a huge owner just to win one race at Cheltenham, whatever it is? Would you, and this is the feeling that this is the race you will win, the mares. So you just want a winner at Cheltenham, whatever. It doesn't matter what race. It could be a seller.
Well, it's really interesting. And I'll give you a quick story because we're debating about where to run Mystical Power. And those of you who know Mystical Power may know that JP owns most of it. When I sold Danny Power to John Magner and JP, I kept a leg in it. And it was very interesting. And Joe Chambers, our racing manager, was talking to Woody today, and JP said, what would you advise Rich to do in terms of where to run Mystical Power? And I think this is instructive, and to answer your question. He said, Rich, and this is very true, always asked Willie, you might not like it, but it's true, always asked Willie to run the horse where he has the best chance of winning. Because life is about winners. And yes, there's the whole challenge of it. We haven't backed away from a fight when we've got a fighting chance. I don't think Lossie Mouse would beat State Man or the others maybe in the race this year. Next year, I think she might. But I like to have winners. And Cheltenham is very important. And we can talk and debate about the over-importance of it. But my view has always been having a winner at Cheltenham is critically important to the way I view a year.
Okay. So I think we know if State Man doesn't get injured between now and Tuesday, Lossie Mouse is in the mares, and that is it. Which Lucky has been saying on the podcast for weeks, haven't you, Lucky, on a daily basis?
That's just because Rich told me weeks ago, Matt. Yeah. So it's just I've just passed it on accordingly.
I thought Chambers was your boy rather than Rich.
But it's interesting, isn't it, that JP advised go where you can win the race.
No, that was me.
Oh, that was you that advised JP.
JP was asking Willie what? No, I wasn't advising JP. Trust me. JP asked Willie, what would you advise Rich? And Willie said, Rich always wants to run his horses where they have the best chance to win.
Because I think JP's done something quite different, but quite inspired in the Champion Hurdle Chappers, with the supplementary entry today of Iberico Lord, who is only rated in the 140s, no chance on the figures. I think he's a lot better than that. And 20-1, suddenly he becomes an interesting each-way bet for me.
That's really interesting because we thought seriously about rerouting Sharjah to the Champion Hurdle. And I know Willie mentioned it, and I sprung it on the other night when the news came out about Constitution Hill. And I think the thing about Sharjah is he's 11, but he's been second twice. I thought it's 18 grand to supplement. If you finish second, it's 90. If you finish third, it's 40 something. If you finish fourth, it's 23. And when you could see, so when you go into the entries in the UK system, which is better than the Irish system in terms of entries, you can see who's being declared after like a half an hour before it closes. And you could see that there was a supplementary entry. We didn't know who it was. Irish Point was declared. And so we thought Sharjah's not going to beat Irish Point. It's highly unlikely that he won't beat Iberico because he's the up-and-coming younger legs. So it probably doesn't make any sense to supplement it. But we did think about it because there's a lot of money in that race.
Yeah. Gina, I mean, we're talking about each-way shots, but as far as the race is concerned, does State Man have to effectively underperform not to win it?
I think so, yeah. Looking at the race now, especially with Constitution Hill out of the race, it would have been great if he'd have been running because it would have been a really good race. But I think it has affected the race a lot now. And like I said, Iberico Lord, he's not really rated high enough, but he is up and coming. So you perhaps give him a run for their money.
I mean, if Iberico Lord goes and wins it, Hendo's going to have a nightmare, isn't it? He's not managed to get Constitution Hill there, and he didn't even enter the horse who goes and wins it. I mean, that wouldn't be your best week at the office. Steve, you're not going to tip up State Man on the day. It would be not Templegate Light, would it?
No. Well, the thing with the Iberico Lord is I think he's so ground dependent, and it's soft there now that they're probably thinking by the time of the county hurdle at the end of the week it might be too dry. So they might as well have a go in the big race while the ground will be in the horse's favour. When I read that he'd been supplemented, I thought he'd be about 12, 14 to 1. So the fact that he's 20 gives you an idea for each way purposes. Because I actually thought Lucia had a fair each way chance as well for Henderson with the mare's allowance. But State Man's well up to champion hurdle standard. It's just a shame that he's such a short price. I mean, he's as good, if not better, than your average champion hurdler already, I'd say. And improving. I think he would have got closer to Constitution Hill this year anyway.
What's your evidence for that? That's just guessing, isn't it?
Well, Constitution Hill hasn't run much, has he? But I mean, I just think he seemed to be progressing. He's still only a young horse himself. I mean, he wouldn't have beaten Constitution Hill, I don't think. But it is, and it's not like me to go to fancy odds on shots. So I will mention things each way, but he is going to be very hard to beat. Very hard.
Lucky from what we know of State Man. I mean, I think most people feel he didn't run his race really last year, even though he ran well. But he's proven at Cheltenham, having won the county. But he's he's a very boring horse, isn't he? Because he doesn't do anything flashy other than just keep winning.
He's a boring horse. I wouldn't mind having a few as boring as him. He doesn't do anything wrong either, does he? He jumps well, he travels well, he wins quite easily most of the time.
Yeah, but he's not one of those. If you're out shopping in Westfield, you don't suddenly stop to watch State Man. He'll just win and you watch it later on.
But isn't that only because of his relativity to Constitution Hill? If Constitution Hill didn't exist and State Man had won by miles last year, you'd be excited by it.
I just think usual champion herders have a little bit more flair than State Man.
So you're not backing him at 2 to 5, is what you're saying?
Well, I doubt anyone in this room is. Who's backing State Man at 2 to 5 in here? Well, you're all millionaires already, so congratulations on your success.
I don't think that's crazy. I honestly don't think that's crazy. If you're somebody who likes backing short price horses.
I think there's a nice acca there. Yeah, I agree with you. Yeah.
If we were having this conversation in America, they'd say that should be 1 to 10, not 2 to 5. Yeah. Now, I would rather back Jericho to I've given it away now. I'd rather back Iberico Lord 20 to 1 each way, in the hope that he could just pull something out of the bag. But I don't think it's nuts to back State Man at short odds.
I mean, I can see it doubles and trebles, but I think just as an individual bet, you have to have a big bank, because when the shorties lose, you're done in for the rest of the week. Do you know normal punters?
Do you know anyone with a big bank, Matt? Anyone at all? Anyone?
Hello, Lucky. Has the Saudi cash come through yet? honestly. He goes out there, you get it on the podcast. Fabulous race day in Saudi. Then next weekend, fabulous race day in Bahrain. Next week, fabulous race day in Qatar. There isn't a country in the world that isn't wonderful for you, Lucky.
Just the... only the first tranche has come through, Matt. Still waiting for the rest.
Oh, dear. Oh, dear. Right. Okay, so let's just go down the panel as far as the champion hurdle is concerned. Nick Luck, multiple talented...
Yeah, all right, stop it. So, yeah, each way, Iberico Lord.
Okay. Gina Andrews, Grand National heroine.
I don't know about that. Well, I'm be boring and just go for State Man.
Okay. Rich Ricci, the machine.
State Man is part of an ACCA, 100%.
Templegate, the greatest tipster.
Lucia each way.
Yeah, I'd probably have a little bit on Lucia each way, but I fully expect State Man to plod round and win. Right, Champion Chase. We're going to do the big grade ones first at half time. We're going to have a breather. We're going to pour as much booze down Rich as possible for the second half. And then we're going to go through as many races we can, basically via questions from you. So start thinking of questions now, because one thing I've learned about these evenings is it's much more fun when you get the questions answered that you want answered. So that's how we're going to play this. Right, Champion Chase. Let's start with you, Steve, again, as far as the Champion Chase is concerned. Most people see this as, I guess, a match between El Fabiolo and John Bon, with Edwardstone just throwing a little cue ball in there after the win at Newbury the other day. How do you see it?
I don't really see it as much of a match. I think El Fabiolo's on a different planet to these. Last year, we keep hearing how El Fabiolo doesn't jump well enough and he's going to be beaten by John Bon, who seems to smash every fence he tries to cross. So I just think he's too good. He's, again, a short price, so I'm sorry for that, but he's just on a different level to John Bon, who's had a few goals. He had a very hard race last time. It was good to see Edwardstone run well, but I just think he's short of this level. And when you look at something like Elixir, the nuts is 10 times the price of John Bon.
Yeah.
I don't really understand why, to be honest.
On most previews, you find Captain Guinness is the one that the people who hate tipping up the favourites in these types of races just go, oh, Captain Guinness got an each-way chance. But we'll see if anyone comes up with that, Nick.
I think Captain Guinness has got an each-way chance.
I mean, honestly,
You've been listening to the podcast, Matt.
No, I'll bowl them and you just bat them back.
He's a pretty solid horse, Captain
Thank
Guinness.
you, Gina.
Very solid.
Yeah. Captain Guinness. So we all know Willie Mullins is going to train more winners than anyone else at Cheltenham Festival. He might train more winners than any other trainer put together. We know that Gordon Elliott will have a few winners, but no one's horses go from here to here, from rest of season to Cheltenham like de Bromhead's do. I mean, it's ridiculous. Like, he can have as pedestrian season as you like, but he will get his roses to bloom at the right time every single year. You know, and this horse had a poodle round at the Dublin Racing Festival because he'd had an issue earlier in the year. I think they just wanted to get him to finish off a race. He will run well again, Matt. I'm not saying he'll win, but he'll run well again. He'll probably finish second again.
Do you think El Fabiolo will beat John Bon?
Yeah.
But you think Captain Guinness, who was stuffed by John Bon in the Celebration Chase, will beat
that was the Celebration Chase last year. This is the Champion Chase this year. So you're playing the scenario, and I think Captain Guinness at the prices. You know, one of those horses is 3-1, the other one's 20-1.
Okay.
If John Bon was 20-1, Matt, I'd be tipping him all day long.
If there was a horse called Fine Wine in here, you'd be tipping anything with booze.
Of course I would.
Anything with booze. Gina, for you, how do you see this race?
I think El Fabiolo's jumping is questionable at times. He can be pretty ignorant. And I think John Bon's been given way too much stick for his jumping. I think he's an excellent jumper. And I think because he's been so good, when he seems to get the slightest thing wrong, that he gets too much stick for it. I think he's an excellent jumper and a really good horse. But I'm in the Edwardstone camp all the way. The people that own him are quite good friends of ours, and I actually rode Edwardstone's mother in a point-to-point.
Did you?
Yeah, I did, yeah.
Was she any good?
No, useless. Absolutely useless. And she did not jump well at all. She only ran 2 or 3 times, I think, and then they retired her, and Edwardstone was the first fault. So.
Isn't there a slight feeling with Edwardstone that he's a grade 2, grade 3 bully, but when he comes against a proper horse...
What?
Well, you're going to Captain Guinness now. You think Edwardstone's got a chance now?
But he did hose up in the Arkle. You can't call him a grade 3 bully.
Oh, come on.
No, that's rubbish. I'm Edwardstone all the way.
Okay, fair enough. Rich, it's interesting with El Fabiolo because his jumping comes up a lot, doesn't it? And yet he's won, 4 or 5 grade 1s. He's won 8 out of 11 starts. He's never fallen. And yet he's a terrible jumper for a lot of people.
His jumping's sticky. The Champion Chase has not been a good race for me. Never won it. Turned over at odds-on twice. Probably should have won it the year Duvan fell. And
he was absolutely cruising, Rich.
I think Gina's point about his jumping is interesting, but I think he might have too much boot for them. I don't want to be boring, but he'd probably be part of another short price ACCA.
So let's go down the panel again. Look, for me, the key that's never mentioned in these races is Townend, who's one of these jockeys who kind of just goes, people just forget about him. I don't know why, maybe because he, certainly in his slightly younger days, was this guy who butter wouldn't melt in the mouth, but was absolutely a hooligan off the track. He might not be quite so much of a hooligan these days, I'm told, but he is an absolute character, and you never get to see that. In the days, Lucky stole all the Irish racing from us, but in the days when we had the Irish racing, Townend was a kid then, and he was just one of the craziest blokes you've ever met in your life on a night out. In Galway, in what's the hole in the wall, when I used to go there, I mean, Townend would be one of the last to leave. He was just absolutely just great fun. And I think Townend is right up there with Ruby Walsh. I think he's amazing. And I think he is key to El Fabiolo. He'll just get it round, just like he got Galopin des Champs round last year. He's just an unsung hero of the team. So after all that, I think the 1-2 shot will hack up. But anyway, Stayers Hurdle, should we get on to? The excellently sponsored Stayers Hurdle, of course, the great Paddy Power.
Is it the Yeehaw Bet Stayers Hurdle, is it?
Not yet. We were sponsoring at Fontwell, but unfortunately we were rained off this week. But that'll be another one you'll add to your list soon, Nick Lucky. And
Yeehaw Bet's ambassador.
no, I was thinking like sponsoring the pod.
Excellent.
And you could do a big yeehaw.
Good. Should we get on with the Stayers Hurdle?
Yeah, okay. To be honest, however much money it makes, it will never make enough to pay you, Lucky. The Paddy Power Stayers Hurdle is at 3:30 on Thursday, and it's one of the best betting races, I think, in the Grade 1s of the week, because there are a whole load of pensioners that punters love. There are one or two young pretenders, Tiapu, Crambo, very much a young pretender that I don't think's captured the imagination, but could easily go and win it. And then, of course, you've got all those old boys. Flooring Porter, been listening to the pod. Basically, he's going to be going in this. Nobu Yates could go in this. You've got Paisley, Home by the Leers, tipped up by Simon. Sire de Burley's almost forgotten, but the defending champion. And again, if you listen to Lucky's podcast, Gordon Elliott's been fairly keen on him. I'm going to start, Gina, with you here, because this is a race I have no idea what you're going to pick. So who do you like?
Who do I like? Well, again, Paisley Park's going to be the boring pick, I suppose. Crambo's another one who's on the upgrade. Won the long walk hurdle. I think he could definitely go well.
For Fergal.
The Fergal, yeah. I didn't really agree with the jockey change. I thought it was pretty harsh. It's very difficult for young riders to get going, and he'd done nothing wrong on the horse, and he gets it wrong once, and he's immediately jocked off for a jockey that's ridden very little for the trainer, never ridden the horse before. So I thought that was very harsh.
It happens though. It's happening on Thursday in the Spring Cup at Lingfield Finley Marsh. 2 wins for Richard Hughes. Was praying he'd keep the ride. Jocked off for William Buick. And remember, the real guy who was jocked off Crambo was Paddy Brennan. I mean, no one ever thought about Paddy with Crambo, and suddenly he disappeared off the horse. I think he was quite upset, actually, from what I read the other day.
Not that you know it.
No.
With Paddy. Because he likes to keep things under the radar and doesn't like to express his feelings too much.
I don't think the owners are overly keen on Paddy Brennan.
Are they not keen on Paddy Brennan?
Don't think so.
No, okay.
No.
That's
I think
not a
that's why
great surprise.
That's why he didn't ride it in the long walk. That's why Johnny Burt rode him.
Okay. Owners in hate Brennan shock, says Gina Andrews. Right. Lucky, where's the pin drop here?
The pin here, Matthew, drops in a very, very boring place, and that is Tihupo. I know.
Hold on, could you just say that again? No, the way you said the horse's name. You said Tihupo.
Chupo, isn't it? It's Chupo.
I knew you'd get that right.
Anyway, whatever. That horse,
It's
he's got
Tiapu,
this,
isn't it?
yeah, he's got this right.
It's Tiapu. Your accent's on the wrong syllable.
Don't listen to Rich Ricci. It is Chupo, and it is going to win the Stayers Hurdle. He is going to win the Stayers Hurdle. I think Gordon Elliott's got this right. Should have won it last year. I think even Davy Russell would agree he should have won it last year, shouldn't he? And he's had a better prep this time, and I think he's a classier horse than Crambo, and he stays. You know, I think he's got the lot.
So the internet's been broken about Constitution Hill for Nicky Henderson.
Yeah.
Not a word said about this horse running once for Gordon Elliott, not being seen for most of the season.
No.
Do you know why that is?
It's because Nicky Henderson is always in the middle of some kind of psychodrama, isn't he? Like he's always, I don't know. He's very open with his time, and he probably says too much. So he's always in the centre of his own drama. So we had it with Altior and Sprinter Sacra and all the others. I mean this to his credit, not to his detriment, Matt. But it's just, it's just become a bit of a pantomime, a bit of a side pantomime, hasn't it?
Yeah.
So,
but you're not.
And he said, I talked to JP. I'm JP, Barry, Nicky, AP. I don't know. I don't know what am I going to do. Yeah. It's always that, isn't it?
And then I had a glass.
I mean, I said, I feel desperate for Buckles. Desperate. Training for him for years. Yeah, I feel desperate for it. Desperate.
What I like about
JP, it was actually JP's idea all along. Not just JP, AP's idea, Barry's idea, JP's idea, my idea. We'll run him in now. I like it. So that's the thing.
See, that's the sign of a great
Did I
broadcaster.
get it? It got a bit Ronnie Corbett there.
No.
But
It's the sign of a great broadcaster because you could have just stopped quite early with that, but he saw it was going well, and he carried on, and he thought, we might get to half time with this.
No, listen, no one wants to hear about the Stayers Hurdle. As Ted Walsh said, nobody wants to breed a Stayers Hurdle winner. So.
Well, not when you got Nicky in the house.
That's right, yeah.
Who was that?
When did he last win this? When did Nicky last win the Stayers Hurdle?
I don't know.
Can you advance me on Russell, 1989?
Russell. Crikey, in the old brownie
Has
orange.
he had one since then?
I don't know.
There you go.
No. What's that got to do with anything?
Just say it. Whatever. On you go, Matthew.
Thank you, Nick, for turning up. Right. Rich.
I've got the winner of the
do you have an
Stayers
opinion?
Hurdle. I've got the winner of the Stayers Hurdle. My trainer doesn't want to run in there.
What, Monkfish?
Monkfish, yeah. Monkfish is now poor old Monkfish. Now my record with staying chasers with Willie Mullins isn't brilliant. They tend to get hurt, not go on, whatever it may be. Monkfish was, we've had some tendon issues in our day. Monkfish had an absolutely awful injury. And I think it was a 40% tear, maybe 50% tear. You'll know, Gina, that's significant.
Pretty bad.
Yeah. And it took us a long while to get him back, and we ran him last year, and it took him 18 months to get back, something like that. And we ran him last year, and he ran well the first time. We shouldn't have run him the second time over hurdles. And this year we've campaigned him over hurdles. He has not run in public over fences for almost 3 years. The trainer keeps saying he's a Gold Cup horse, and we should run him in the Gold Cup. Is he 10 or 11?
10.
He is 10.
Is he really 10 already?
Yeah, we should run him in the Gold Cup. He's a two-time Cheltenham winner. And we have not had the argument yet, but he keeps saying Gold Cup. I keep saying the Stayers looks obvious to me. But when Willie has an instinct about something, he's generally right. And the best example, most recent example I can give you is at the Dublin Racing Festival. Willie was desperate to run Gaelic Warrior in the Irish Arkle. And I was really adamant saying, look, he's won over 2.5. Why are we stepping back in trip? 2.5 is his trip. Let's go for it. And it was a disaster. But his instincts, you have to listen when he's doing these things. So he'll be in the Gold Cup until we will declare next week. The argument has to be had. It's the one we haven't really gotten to the meat of the argument yet. But I think he'd go very close to the Stayers if he ran there.
Rich, I think an area with this that will interest the audience is the fact you're saying we're going to have an argument or a conversation. We are led to believe that there'll be no argument or conversation. You will do what you're told by Willie Mullins, which is why he's able to juggle all these mega owners. Is that true or not? Or will you, if you really wanted to go Stayers Hurdle and Mullins really wanted to go Gold Cup, where would he run?
It's a really good question. And the great thing about Willie is he has 4 or 5 trainers around him, doesn't he? It's not just Willie. He's got Ruby, he's got David Casey, he's got Patrick, don't underestimate Jackie Mullins in terms of their ability they could all be independent trainers. And so you get all that feedback. And my guidance to Willie has always been, I want my horses to run where they have the best chance to win. And at the end of the day, I'm not a trainer. I've never ridden a horse in my life. I'm scared to death of them, although I love them to bits. You've got to go with the instinct, but I will make my argument the best I can. But at the end of the day, I'm paying him to do what he's supposed to do.
I mean, do you say things to him like, why are you running Galopin des Champs if you think Monkfish is going to win it?
100%.
Well, it's a good question, isn't it?
No, you ask those questions. And the logic at the moment seems to be, he's working very well, always said he was a Gold Cup horse. This is the only chance to win, it could be your only chance to win the Gold Cup. So he's 10 years old. If he's fit and ready, and he's in very, very good form, by the way, why not have a go? But we've parked that argument until next week.
Lucky, you're great on history. Has a horse won the Gold Cup on the back of a hurdle run?
Oh God, that's a
Not
good
many.
question.
Can't be.
Can anyone think of one off the back of a hurdle run on its previous start to the Gold Cup?
No. So we know they have in the Grand National Royal Athlete is always.
Yeah. No, there's a few in the Grand National. I can't think of one in recent memory.
Right, there's one for the podcast this week.
I can't. But I'm not. Yeah, I honestly can't think of one. The only thing is, though, everyone says Willie Mullins tells you nothing, or you get misled into him doing one thing and then doing another. It's actually not true. If he doesn't say anything, don't assume it. So he's never said Ballyburn's going to run in the Supreme Novices. He has never said Ballyburn's going to run in the Supreme Novices. He might, but he's never said it. So don't moan if he runs him in the other race.
No. And he does say things.
Right.
I spoke to him up at Aintree, and he said Mystical Power had loads of speed.
Yeah, Rich's horse, one of Rich's horses, that we've just been talking about, he said, Monkfish, he said, 6 weeks ago I was watching that video that I can't even remember who it was, Sky or Racing TV did, and he said, he was watching them go around the ring and he went, there is Monkfish, we'll run him in the Gold Cup. So...
That's absolutely right. Yep.
And same with Tully Hill, he immediately said Supreme. And David Casey, the day after the Dublin Racing Festival, when Gaelic Warrior had lumbered over the last fence and deposited his rider on the turf, and you thought, this thing looks like it's run like it's drunk, you wouldn't have any plans for him. I said, who's your best horse for the Arkle? Bearing in mind they just won the Irish Arkle, and he went, still Gaelic Warrior. Lo and behold, what do we think is going to happen? Gaelic Warrior is probably going to run in the Arkle. So they do, if you listen carefully enough, they do tell you. Anyway, there we are.
Thanks for spoiling the surprise.
I was banging on.
Well done, Lucky. Yep, good man. You went early, per usual.
Final question on this, Rich. Is there a little bit of you, because he's always obviously looked like this great big butch chasing horse, Monkfish. At the age of 10, he's obviously not really going to go and win it at 11. Like, in some ways, for a lot of people, he's not going to win the Stayers Hurdle or the Gold Cup. So you might as well just give him that chance to see what he can do in a Gold Cup.
That's an element in the balance of the equation, isn't it? Because you're right. We bought him as a Gold Cup horse. We always thought him as a Gold Cup horse. It's probably his last chance to be competitive in the Gold Cup. So that's all into the mix. But
What's your gut feeling where he's going to run?
What's that?
What's your gut feeling, here or Gold Cup? Because I thought Stayers, the more you've talked tonight, I think if Willie wants to run the Gold Cup, he goes there.
We haven't had this argument yet. We've parked it because...
I wish we could call him now. Do you want to call him on your mobile?
No.
Let's have it out with him right now, Rich. On the phone, let's have that argument.
He's in the bagnall upside down, but where's Patty Burnway? That's a more pertinent question. Look, I think that we'll have that debate next week. He'll stay in. He'll be entered in both. I think, personally, part of the reason, and it's really unusual, everybody thinks, to your point, Nick, about Willie having all these loads and loads of entries for these races. He's only got 2 in the Gold Cup. He's only got 2 in the Gold Cup, which is Galopin des Champs and us. So why not keep the option and see how it goes? Because if Galopin des Champs didn't make it, then we might go for the World Cup. But we might go for the Gold Cup anyway. But that's a debate for next week. I'll be more definitive later on some of the other ones, but that's where we are in him.
Okay, we've no idea where it's going to run. Right.
Bingo.
Yeah.
Steve.
Yeah, I'd run Monkfish in the Stayers Hurdle as well. I think the Gold Cup's really deep this year.
Yeah.
But
thanks, Steve.
For the Stayers, I don't think it'll be soft enough for Tiapu. That's the fella. And I really hope they run Irish Point in this instead of the champion, but I don't think that's going to happen. So Noble Yates, it looks a bit overpriced to me. We know there's no issue with staying. Ran well last time and likes the track, so I think each way I'd go for Noble Yates.
Okay, yep. I don't think many will be following Templegate in there, but we wish you well. I actually think I mean, you know what? I've been with Lucky for most of this time, but the more I look at this, I just think it's time for a real up-and-coming horse. And Crambo should be unbeaten this season. He was given a hopeless ride up at Haydock. He's beaten Paisley Park, who's still a good yardstick, even if he doesn't seem to quite want to put his head in front these days. And
you're raining back on Paisley Park. You call him a dog in the sun.
Okay.
It's not a secret. You said it in the biggest selling newspaper. You called him a dog.
So, me and Tom Bellamy. Tom Bellamy is a great lad. This is never going to go and see the light of day. Let's make sure that's perfectly clear. But Tom and I have a lot of banter about this. He is desperate for every single piece of equipment to go on Paisley Park. And basically, Emma Lavelle's not having it. He said, oh dear, he said to me the other day, I said, I'm relying on your skill. I said to him, relying on your skill in the saddle is a tactic thwart with danger.
Hang on. So just to be clear, this is Tom Bellamy, the rider of Paisley Park, is texting you this.
Yeah, this is some banter, for want of a better phrase. Never to go beyond these four walls. So I said to him, relying on your skill is a tactic thwart with danger. To which he responded, so frustrating. If he finishes second again, I'm going to punch him in front of the crowd. He didn't mean it. But that's how frustrated he is in a jokey way. Because he desperately wants spurs, everything. Basically, he said to me that when this horse goes up sides now, he doesn't want to put his head in front. And this horse has run more kindly for Tom than it's run for any jockey ever, Paisley Park. But it's not winning. And I just think, he can't win, can he? No, he can't win. He can't win. I think Crambo is the up-and-coming horse, stays all day, and if Monkfish isn't there, which he won't be probably.
Gina has a view on Paisley Park.
I think he needed blinkers a long time ago and stronger handling a long time ago. And I think he goes better for Tom Bellamy.
So you're saying Bellamy's not strong enough as well?
He's stronger than Aidan Coleman.
Why are we killing poor Aidan Coleman?
Lads,
I don't think he got a tune out of him.
Can we clip that big house and put it on social right now, please? Gina Andrews in jockey slagging shock. Crikey. This is why she's so good. Cheltenham Festival winning jockey's going to win the Grand National. Lads will be terrified of her. Right, okay. It's funny though, because he has tried headgear before and he actually didn't settle. So that's the problem. He's gone in visors before.
What he needs is the kind of ride that Gina gave that horse to Stuart Edmonds's when he won the won the Kim Muir.
Yeah.
I mean, she'd get a 6-month holiday, but that's fine.
The disqualification of the new rules.
Let's just go through selections then down the panel. Lucky.
To that one.
Gina.
Yeah, I'm with Tiapu as well, I think.
Tiapu, yeah. Rich.
Monkey if he runs.
Monkey if he runs.
I'd be on that each way as well if it runs.
Monkey each way. I'm with Crambo. So Kieran's just here to snap some numbers up for you. For those of you who just don't like the that we speak, but actually just want someone who crunches numbers in these races. Kieran, let's just go through what we've gone through so far. Champion Hurdle, numbers-wise, how far clear is State Man?
£4.
4?
Only £4 clear of Irish Point, and with the mare's allowance, Lossiemouth's only £4 behind that with a P. And the only reason she's not higher is because the opposition she's faced, Rich, to be honest. So I know which race I'll be running her in, but I'll leave it to you.
I mean,
The mares, well done.
No,
most of us are shocked by that, aren't we?
Will she definitely stay?
It's a good question. We think she'll stay. Now, by breeding, she'll stay. She's speedy, I agree with you, but boy, she cannoned up that hill the last day, didn't she?
Yeah, she's not like other juvenile. You think juvenile hurdlers stepping into a higher class, they're normally not very big, but she's a real tank, isn't she? She'd probably jump a fence in time if you want to go that way. But
She's going to win the champion hurdle next year.
she could win it this year, but so
Hold on, can I just come in here very quickly? Because I thought Lossiemouth's big target this year was the French champion hurdle. Isn't that 3 miles?
She'll go to the French champion hurdle, probably, yeah.
Well, if you're going over 3 miles, Rich, you're not worried about her stamina.
Well, we'll see how she gets on, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So, who was shocked by State Man only being £4 clear in this? I think most of us were, weren't we? I mean, are you sure you got numbers right there, Skip?
what's he been beating? No offence to Bob, and we all know he's a high-class stayer on the flat, but he's been beating in Perry Pass, he's been ready to...
So hang on. £4 is, what, 3 3/4 lengths over 2 miles, roughly,
Yeah.
isn't it?
Yeah.
That's quite a long way, Matt.
Yeah, but
That's a
But lucky
comprehensive
it's
victory.
2 to 5. You'd think it might be a bit more than 3 3/4 lengths.
That's
better.
quite. I think we've become used in this era to horses winning by miles. 3.5 lengths or 3 3/4 lengths. It's quite a.
That's a proper beating.
That's a proper beating.
But that's the thing with State Man. He's
And
not
you
going to
should
win
know
by
what-
miles.
You
is
should
he?
know what a proper beating is. You pay for enough of this.
I enjoyed every minute of it. She was great.
Where we go
Deary
next?
me.
Exactly what you need, Luck.
Champions Chase.
Right.
Champions Chase, El Fabiolo, £4 clear of John Bond with a fee. No one's mentioned the form of the Nicky Henderson yard yet. He's had 23 runners since America Lord won the Betfair Hurdle. 2 have won, 10 have pulled up. There's clearly something not quite right in the yard at the minute. We've seen that at the Constitution Hill. Yes, he's got a week to turn it around, and some of them will run towards the end of the week. I won't be going anywhere near Henderson at this moment in time. I think El Fabiolo, what price is he?
4 to 9. So
4 to 9. I'll put him in all your rackers, he won't get beat. He makes a few mistakes, but he's too good. Stays Hurdle. We did have the French horse, £10 clear, but unfortunately she's not going to run. How do you pronounce that, Nick?
Delem.
yeah, don't worry about too much about it. It's not
Feline
running.
if you're from the north.
Okay.
But yeah, Tiupu, if it comes up really soft, he should be hard to beat. Crambo's obviously the up-and-coming stayer, but they ride him quite patiently. This isn't a race where he really wants to be held up. We saw that with Tiupu last year. David gave him too much to do, and he probably shaped best.
Cheerio.
So yeah, Tiupu for us, Matt.
And Kieran, in those 3 races,
Yeah.
which is the time form horse that you think might have the most improvement to show us?
Big Pete.
Big P.
Well, Lossy mouth, but she's going to run in the mess. But I honestly think she could be Annie Carlcross, I really do. I think she's that good.
Rich, when you hear that, are you tempted?
I look at the facts.
Okay, you're not tempted. Right.